Okay, greetings one and all, and welcome to this math video. In this video, we'll be considering the topic squares, cubes, and their roots. Again, squares, cubes, and their roots. Let's begin. Okay, the question says, calculate the value of 2 to the third power minus the square root of 25. And so let's consider that. This is 2 raised to the third power minus the square root of 25. Now, what is 2 to the third power? Well, 2 to the third power is 2 times 2 times 2, which equals to 8, all right? And we have the square root of 25, and the square root of 25 equals to 5, because 5 times 5 equals to 25. It's very important to note that the way how we got 8 is because we said, notice carefully, we have 2 times 2, and 2 times 2 is 4, and then we bring down the 2, okay? So we have 4 times 2. And what is 4 times 2? 4 times 2 is definitely 8. And so that's how we got 8, okay? 2 times 2, which is going to be 4, and then 4 times 2, which is going to be 8. And so that's how we got the 8. So 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2, which is going to be 8. Okay, next up we have the square root of 25, which is 5. So we know that 2 to the third power is 8 minus the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is definitely 5. So we have 8 minus 5. And 8 minus 5 is 3. So the answer here is 3. Let's move on to the next question. We have 3 to the third power. Now 3 to the third power is going to be equal to 3 times 3 times 3. What we do is we say 3 times 3, which is going to be 9. We bring down the 3 and we say 9 times 3. 9 times 3 is definitely 27. So the correct answer here is 27. Moving right along, we have this one. It says find the value of 13 plus the square root of 9. Well, the square root of 9 is basically asking us the question, what number times itself is going to give you 9? And that answer is 3, because 3 times 3 is 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. Again, 3 times 3 is 9. So the square root of 9 is 3. And so we have 13 plus 3, and 13 plus 3 is definitely 16. And so the correct answer here is 16. Moving right along, we have find the value of 5 to the third power minus the square root of 100. 5 to the third power. What is 5 to the third power? Well, 5 to the third power is 125. And the square root of 100, the square root of 100 is 10. And the reason why that's the case is because 10 times 10 is 100. And so we say 125 plus 10, which is going to be 135. So the answer here is definitely 135. Now, the way that we got 5 to the third power, right? 5 to the third power, the way that we got that is that we multiply 5 times 5 times 5. So we have 5 to the third power. Rather, we have 5 to the third power. Let me write it this way. So we have 5 to the third power, 5 to the power of 3. That's going to be equal to 5 multiplied by 5. Again, 5 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 5. And so we have 5 times 5, which is 25, multiplied by 5. And this is equal to 5 cubed. And then we have 5 to the third power, which is equal to, well, what is 25 times 5? Well, 25 times 5 is definitely 125. And so that's how we got 5 to the third power, which is 125. And so we have 5 to the third power, which is 125, plus the square root of 100, which is 10. So we have 125 plus 10, which is 135. So the answer here is 135. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Oh, I did have it here. Let me erase our link. So I did have it written down, which is 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. and the square root of 100 is 10. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Here we say, right, as an ordinary number, 6 times 10 squared plus 3 times 10 to the power of 1. Well, 10 squared equals to 10 times 10, which is 100. That's important. So 10 squared is equal to 10 times 10, which is 100. So what is the first thing we do? We multiply 6 times 10 squared. But we know that 10 squared is 100 based off of this information, plus 3 times 10 to the power of 1. Well, 10 to the power of 1 is 10, all right? And so we multiply 6 times 3. 6 times 3 is going to be 600. And we multiply 3 times 10, and then 3 times 10 is going to be 30. So we do 600 plus 30, which is going to be 630. And so the answer here is 630. Okay, moving right along, we have this next question. It says evaluate the square root of 9 plus 5 to the third power. Again, evaluate the square root of 9 plus 5 to the third power. Well, what is 9 plus 5 to the third power? Well, 5 to the third power we know is 125. And then we're going to add 125 with 134. And now 134 is not a perfect square. Again, 134 is not a perfect square. And so if we were to use a calculator and we found and find an approximation, it would be 11.57583. But you are not able to use a calculator inside the exam. So you're just gonna have to leave it to the square root of 134. All right. And that's our final answer. How did we get 5 to the third power? But 5 to the third power is 5 times 5, and 5 times 5 is 25, times another 5, which is going to be 125. Okay, let's move on to the next question. It's the square root of 81 plus 3 to the third power. Now, what is the square root of 81? That's what number times itself gives you 81. The answer to that is definitely going to be 9. And then we have 3 to the third power. Well, 3 to the third power is definitely going to be 27 because it's 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. And then we do 9 plus 27, and 9 plus 27 is 36. How do we get 3 to the third power? Well, that's going to be 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. We know that 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 3 is 27. And the square root of 81 is definitely 9. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. It says calculate the value of 2 to the third power times 5. Well, 2 to the third power is definitely 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2. So that's going to be 2 times 2 times 2. That's 2 3 times. So that's this one. 2 times 2, which is 8. All right, times another 2. Sorry, 2 times 2, which is 4, rather. 2 times 2, which is 4. Times another 2, which is 8. So that's how we get 8 here. And then we say 8 times 5. Well, 8 times 5 is definitely 40. And so the answer here is going to be 40. 2 to the third power, which is 8, times 5 is 40. So the answer here is 40. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 2 to the 5th power multiplied by 3. Sorry, 2 to the 5th power minus 3 squared. So what we have here, we have 2 to the 5th power minus 3 squared. Okay, what is 2 to the 5th power? 2 to the 5th power is 32. And 3 squared, well, we keep 3 squared as is. But 3 squared is definitely going to be 3 times 3, which is going to be 3 times 3, which is going to be 9. But here I want to show you how to get 2 to the 5th power. 2 to the 5th power is 2 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is we have 2 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so we know that 2 times 2 is definitely going to be 4. And then 2 times 2 again is going to be 4. Bring down the 2. And then we do 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is definitely going to be 16. Bring down the 2. And then we do 16 times 2, which is going to be 32. So that's why 2 to the 5th power is definitely 32. And then we have 3 to the 2nd power. 3 to the 2nd power is 3 times 3, and that's going to be 9. And so we have 32 minus 9, and that's going to be 23. So the answer here is 23. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 5 squared plus 3 cubed. And so we have 5 squared, which is 5 times 5. That's going to be 25. And then 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. So that's going to be 9 times 3, which is going to be 27. And so we add them. 25 plus 27 is going to be equal to 52. All right, and so the answer here is 52. How do we get 5 squared? 5 squared is going to be 5 times 5, which is 25. And how do we get 3 to the third power? That's going to be 3 times 3, which is 9. And then 9 times 3 is going to be 27. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 6 to the third power. This is 6 to the third power. What do I have? Okay. No, I want 6 to the third power. So 6 to the third power is going to be equal to 6 times 6 times 6. So 6 3 times. 6 times 6 is definitely going to be 36 multiplied by 6. So 36 multiplied by 6 is definitely 216. And so the answer for 6 cubed is 216. Okay, let's move on to the next question. We have 0.9 squared. Now 0.9 squared, what that basically means is I should have put this in the parentheses. But 0.9 squared, let's put this in parentheses. 0.9 squared is going to be equal to 0.9 multiplied by 0.9, and that's going to be equal to 0.81. How? We know 9 times 9 is 81. Put the 1 down, put the 8 up. 9 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is going to be, 9 times 0 is 0 plus 8 is going to be 8. And then so we're going to put the 0 here. 0 times 9 is 0. 0 times 0 is going to be 0. And so what we're going to do is we're going to add 81 plus 0. And if we add 81 plus 0, we get 081. So 1 plus 0 is 1. 8 plus 0 is 8. And 0 plus 0 is 0. But notice that this number is 1 digit behind the decimal point. And this is another number behind the decimal point. So that means that we have to move 2 spaces over such that we'll have the decimal point right here. So it's going to be 2 numbers behind the decimal point since there are 2 numbers here behind the decimal point. All right, so the answer is 0.81. And that brings us to the end of this lesson. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.